All right, it's 9:02, which is the starting time for this webinar. So welcome everybody to this webinar on foundations of PEF, navigating data, methodology, and impact. As you can hear, this webinar will be in English and it will be recorded. For those of you who want, you can watch this later on at our website. Please turn off sound and camera, and we ask you to put the questions in the chat as we'll run a little Q&A session towards the end of the webinar. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to contact me and I will help you as good as I can. My name is Gisle Mardal. I'm Head of Development at NF&TA, and this morning we are kicking off the first in the series of webinars following the journey of 4 Norwegian brands and their learnings from working with product data to report on their product environmental footprint, the so-called PEF. And before we start, I will use a brief moment to introduce some upcoming events. On the 10th of June, we are hosting a webinar on new value chains for textiles in Norway towards 2030. On the 17th of June, we have a webinar on EU regulations on circular supply chain with Ohana Public Affairs. And in August, we are hosting a session during Arendalsuka on producer responsibility for textiles. This coming fall, we are running a series of webinars with Ohana on EU regulations. And the 16th of September, there will be a GPP and workwear seminar. And on the 13th of November on digital product passports and ESPR. All these shortenings. This webinar is a part of a 2-year pilot project supported by NF&TA and Innovation Norway, targeting the complexities of product environmental footprint, PEF or PEF, and life cycle assessments, LCA, in the textile industry. There's a lot of abbreviation, so it's very important that we try to explain it at the start of the webinar for those of you who don't know. Today, you will hear from project partners, including Trimco Group, Green Score Capital, and Norwegian brands Bergans, Camilla Pihl, Holzweiler, and Sverre W. Monsen, as they share their vision and roadmap for this initiative. You will gain insights into the project goals, its approach to simplifying data collection, and strategies for aligning the future of EU regulations. And now to the agenda. We will start with an introduction, the whys and hows, with Camilla Pihl from Trimco Group. Valerie Thiersen from Green Score Capital will move on to talk about their methodology. And then we'll hear from the company cases and their learnings. And then we wrap it up towards the end and have a little Q&A. So without much further ado, I will give the microphone to you, Camilla.
Thank you, Gisle, and thank you everyone for joining the webinar and being part of our journey here on the product environmental footprint journey. My name is Camilla Pihl and I am the Compliance and Sustainability Director at Trimco Group. And my secretary, Gisle, will soon change the slides. We in Trimco Group have been partners with NF&TA for 2 years, and that has been really important for us to really understand where the industry is going and engage with the network. But who is Trimco Group? Well, many of you know who we are, but maybe some don't. We are traditionally a label and packaging manufacturer and supplier. We produce labels made out of polyester and cotton and packaging made out of paper across the world, the same places where textile and footwear and apparel is produced. We notice, like you all notice, the industry is greatly changing. And so if Trimco Group is going to truly be able to provide value to the brands that we supply, we realized we need to make a change and take a big step forward. And that brings us to the next slide, Gisle. We in Trimco Group decided, to be able to both ourselves be able to be part of the apparel and footwear industry as a key supplier of elements to this finished products, we had to be engaged in the industry. We need to know what's moving. We need to know and be at the forefront of all the new regulations and the organization that's driving the initiatives. So we are part of so many initiatives of seeing where the industry, textile and apparel is going. And with that, we go to the next slide again. We realize that we are going to have to offer a whole lot more than just labels and packaging to apparel and footwear. We have developed our product DNA solution. Product DNA is a green tech solution, and it is about one important concept, and that is the data gathering part. We are based where the industry is. We are in China, Vietnam, Pakistan, India, Turkey, Romania. We are across where footwear and apparel is produced, and we realized what we can offer the industry is some serious muscle on gathering the data. And that's why we generated product DNA, so we can do this together and offer it to the brands. That brings us to the next slide. Did we do this just for fun, just as another value-added service? Well, yes, but also we did it for another important reason. We did it for ourselves. We don't sell finished goods to any market, but we sell the parts of the labels and packaging that goes into the finished goods. So what we discover is that the regulation and all of these standards that the industry, that applies to the industry, applies to us as well. So we found ourselves at Trimco Group in the very same difficult situation. How do we gather the data to prove chemical compliance, social compliance of the products that we deliver further up the line? And so that's why we generated the product DNA to be truly the data gathering muscle. Now it brings me again to the next slide. The product environmental footprint is one out of the many regulations, directive requirements upon all of us. I love this overview slide from Ohana. Ohana is also a partner here with NF&TA, and they have amazing webinars on the regulatory overview. And I love this one where we can see that the PEF is within the group of regulation and directives that has to do with the product, dividing it between product and company. This is amazing. So we understand that the PEF is direct information about the product. And we've seen that it's been green-lighted by the EU Commission just a few weeks ago. And the European Commission has also allowed France to implement its own environmental labeling decree for textiles. So this picture is already very confusing, and I would say it's getting even more confusing when France is allowed to make a separate version of it. In our webinar also today, we will explore more what does this mean. But I like this overview from Ohana that is showing that the PEF lives here under product transparency. And we can see how it will connect further on to the ESPR and DPP. But it is not the same as DPP, for example, which is one of the many questions that I get. Let's go to the next slide. Trimco Group, as I mentioned, we are really good in gathering data, providing processes and systems to brands to gather data. However, we don't do any calculations and algorithms of the data for a PEF, for example. So 3 years ago, we were really getting a lot of questions on what is the greenhouse gas emission? What is my carbon footprint of the labels, of the hang tags, of our products? We in Trimco Group could not answer. And we realized that the industry was really looking for this type of information. And that's why we came together with Green Score Capital, who really is able to do the calculation and the algorithm for developing the PEF result. But what we could bring to the table was the data gathering muscle. And that was why we came together already 2 years back to offer the industry such a solution. And if we go to the next slide, we can see what it is that Trimco Group is offering in this project. We are here to help the brands we work with how to be able to reach to their supply chain to gather a lot of data, to be able to fulfill the data requirement of a PEF. And on this journey together over a 2-year period, we're going to be meeting a lot of obstacles and hurdles. And today we are basically learning the first step on the journey from 4 brands. We in Trimco Group have had a head start with, for example, Holzweiler and some work we've done with Trimco Capital. So we see how complicated this is. And we've developed a way to gather data. My last slide today, I brought it in to say, because this is the question that comes all the time, and we will be touching on this several times throughout the presentation today. Now, many people confuse digital product passport with the PEF. Like, will the digital product passport be only the PEF? No, that's not what we expect. Will part of it be required in DPP? We can expect that. And Trimco Capital will go into much more detail about it. And at Trimco Group, DPP is important for us. And that's why we want to have a head start and work together with the industry to be sure we're ready to include the PEF in the DPP when and if we know that it's going to be there. I'm so excited for the 2 years we're going to work together, and I'm so excited to pass on now to Valerie from Trimco Capital, who is going to go into the very detailed of what is the PEF, how is it done, and what are all the parts, the brands are going to go in this journey with us. So thank you, and hand over to you, Valerie.
Thank you, Camilla, for the introduction. So good morning, everyone. Really happy to be here and to explain the PEF journey. So I'm Valerie Thiersen. I'm the founder and CEO of Trimco Capital. Just a little introduction of my company. We are a French environmental software publisher dedicated to enhancing corporate environmental performance. We are specialized, of course, in LCA, but we have also strong expertise in evaluating the pressures on biodiversity. In 2022, we have been selected by the French State Agency for Ecological Transition to experiment our approach on environmental labeling for apparel and footwear in France, and to contribute to improving the French methodology. So since then, we have been part of the working groups with the French government, and we still work on how to improve the way to assess environmental impacts for textiles. So can go to the next slide just to give you the agenda of my presentation. So I will make a small presentation of the regulatory context, the PEF definition, what are the categories under the PEF, apparel and footwear, what type of process, and what could be your benefits. So can go next. So Camilla has already brought a global regulatory framework. Just want to go deeper in ESPR, so Eco-Design for Sustainable Production regulations that entered into force the 18th of July 2024. So this law really build an approach to be more environmentally sustainable and circular production. So the main requirements are how to improve durability, reusability, upgradability, repairability, how to build products that are more resource efficient, how to decrease substance that inhibits circularity, how to increase recycle content, etc. And in this law, they brought also what could be the digital passport product. So what this digital passport product may include. As Camilla said, it's not only a PEF score, but also the product's technical performance, what are the materials used, their origins, repair activities, recycling capabilities. So it's really a global digital identity card for products, but also for components and for materials. So, and PEF will be included in, just to let you know, the methodology has been validated in May 2025 by the EU Commission. So we don't know yet. I put here some dates, so we don't know really when it will be entered into force, but probably next year and or then the year after. Just as Camilla said, France has already build a law on this with its own methodology, and it will enter into force in July this 2025. It will be at first a voluntary framework, and it will be mandatory in France next year. So we suppose that the European Commission will also accelerate the agenda for this. Just also a small word on ESPR. It also has introduced a ban of destruction of unsold products also for textile. It was already the case in France, but now it's the case also in Europe. So that's the global regulatory context in which we in. Thank you. So if we want to encourage eco-design initiatives, we need to measure it. So that's why the product environmental footprint has been built, and also to inform consumers about the environmental impacts of product with a product environmental score. Here I put a score, so it will be expressed in micro points and also with an indication of the quality of the data that have been used to calculate this score. And in France, it will be quite like the same. As you can see, I put here the communication the French government has built. So it will also a number of points of impacts that will be all on the garments in France. So next slide, please. So what are the PEF principles? So we simply use a life cycle assessment. So we are considering all the impact from the raw material extraction to the end of life of product. So raw materials, production and transformation, all the steps of transportation, distribution and sales, what type of usage the product is done by consumers, and what will be the end of life of the product. So we consider all the life cycle of the product from cradle to grave. Next slide. So for what it will provide. So we will have nearly 16 indicators. So climate change, land use, fossil resources, mineral and metal resources, eutrophication. I'm sure it's really complicated words, but just to understand, we consider all type of impact like pollutions, pollutions of soils, pollution of water, pollution in the air, also ionizing radiation, toxicity for human, what type of impact for oceans, for water, and globally that's it. So all these type of indicators then will be transformed into PEF points. They will be weighted, just to give you some information that climate change has a really big weight of around 20%. So it's a scientific approach. And then all these points will be added to give you a number of points. The lower the number of points is, the better the product is from an environmental point of view. Just to maybe it can be difficult for a consumer to understand, but what is interesting is that everything we produce have an impact, so it's important to consider as an environmental cost. So that's why they decided to have some a score in number of points. So here are the categories that are covered by the PEF apparel and footwear. So 10 categories in textile and 3 for footwear. So you have here t-shirt, shirt, pullover, coat, jacket, trousers, terrace, socks, underwear, swimming suits, accessories, open toe shoes, closed toe shoes, and also boots. And how we will, what type of information we'll have together. Then we can go to the next slide. So first, we are collecting the information on the product, what type, what the name of the product, the designation, the reference, the size, the weight of the product. That's the first part. Then we also look at what type of care. When we consider the usage of the product, we need to consider the type of washing, the type of drying, to also identify, considering the category of the product, how many times it will be washed, at which temperature, will it be dry in a machine or not, what type of electricity and CO2 it can emit. Then we also can go next. Of course, the composition of the product, what type of raw material, the quantity, the country of origin. Then, of course, a different type of location of the different step of the process, spinning location, what type of transportation within each step. Just to let you know, we also have some hypotheses to build this type of transport if you don't know it. And then the last part is enablement. So we consider all the type of processes that is used on the garment or on the shoes, impression, dyeing, chemical finishes, etc. So that's the work we do with Trimco. And what are the benefits? What is important is for you is where are the most impactful categories for me? On the right, I put a little figures to see what are the impact considering the type of products. It can help you to also define priorities to act. And identifying the most impactful state of your value chain, it also helps you to really build the level of action that are the most impactful, and also build your global sustainability roadmap and being ready for regulations. So I'm finished. Maybe now I let the floor to the brands that are involved in this experimentation to share their point of view. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Valerie. I will go back to the presentation. Can you see my screen again?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, let's see what happens when I share again. Sorry about this. For some reason, it just stops. Oh, there we are. Okay. You can see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's move on to the next session in the program, which are the company cases and my learning so far in this project. To kick off, Yngve Lofstad from Bergans.
Yes, thank you. And just to say, the learnings are not that big as we've just started this, but we can say something about what we expect to learn and what we've done so far. So next slide, just to introduce our company. We are Bergans, an old Norwegian outdoor company, been operating for many years. We do both outdoor equipment, but mainly outdoor clothing. And for this PEF, backpacks and tents are out of scope. So if you take the next slide, you can see what products we've kind of chosen for this huge experiment. And what we've done here is to try to choose products that are quite different, both in the materials and composition. So the first two blue ones are shell jackets. One is 3-layer and recycled materials. The dark blue one is 2 layers and not recycled. And we have some down products, both one with virgin down, which is animal welfare certified, but another one which is recycled down fiber in the parka there. We have some wool products, kids products. The one in the box there is 100% wool. And the one that the little guy is wearing is a mix of wool, polyester, and polyamide. The two guys in black shirts there, they are quite equal product, but one is recycled and one is not. We have a wool sweater. We have an overskirt, which is polyester. A cotton t-shirt, which is organic cotton, but also some elastan. And some pants and the shorts is also a blend of organic cotton and polyester, I think, and the caps also of cotton. So we're trying to choose very different products, very different ways of producing or different compositions. So we're kind of challenging ourselves a little bit. And next slide. So what we hope to learn from this is, of course, to continue on our digital product passport journey. We've been working with Trimco for some years, both on packaging and labeling, but also started the certificate manager and implemented unique QR codes on our products. So we feel we are kind of on a journey here, and we want to expand a little bit. And of course, as Valerie said as well, we need to prepare for regulations. We have quite some data. We have direct contact both with our tier 1 and tier 2 suppliers. But then we realized that, okay, we need the country of origin. We know the wool comes from a mix of Australia, New Zealand, Uruguay, South Africa, Argentina. So how do we really calculate when there's a mix, even a mix of products or materials, but also a mix of where the origin comes from? And we need to learn how far down do we need to go on the polyester or origin fibers? And what do we do when we have a product that has maybe 50 different components? Do we calculate all the 50 or what do we do? And our goal is, of course, to make increasingly better choices in our product development process. We have a long development process, maybe 2 years it can take from where we start the development to have a finished product in our stores. So we need to start now in order to be prepared for the coming regulations and to make better choices, of course. And we love networks and collaborations. We know that we can learn a lot from collaborating with both Trimco and Green Score Capital and NF&TA, but also, of course, the other brands that we have common challenges with. So with discussions are already very good, I would say. So great. Thank you. That was it for me.
Thank you, Ingvild. Our next case is Margrethe Vikanes from Camilla Pihl. Margrethe?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. So hello, everybody. I'm working at Camilla Pihl as Sustainability and Quality Manager. And Camilla Pihl is a small to medium-sized contemporary fashion brand. We were established in 2019. We are based in Oslo, and our brand is founded on Camilla Pihl's personal style. We have timeless and more classy pieces, so we're different from Bergans, and that's good. We can change to the next slide. Thank you. As you see, the products we have chosen are quite basic. So these are some of our classics, which we aim to have on stock and be able to supply throughout several seasons. And that's also a step into the more sustainable collection we are doing. So as you see, we have denim, which is made of organic and recycled cotton. We have a cotton blouse, which is not organic. We added a leather belt as well, some leather shoes or boots. We have a cotton rib jersey top and a shearling lamb jacket. And they are made in different countries. So we are really curious to learn more about the impact they have in this product. So that's what we hope to learn. Yeah, you can change to the next slide. Thank you. So for us as a small to medium-sized brand, this is about future-proofing our brand and company. We want to stay competitive and we want to be relevant. So it's all about what we are heading towards in the future. And besides, as already mentioned, we need to have control of the data. And we need to understand which data is needed, how do we get it, and what it takes from the brand, from our suppliers to retrieve and share this data, and as from our side as well. So it's going to be a big learning since we haven't done a digital product passport as some of the other brands has. So we are really eager and curious to explore this area more. And lastly, but not least, we need to rethink, redesign, and reduce as well. So how can we understand and how can we create products with a cleaner footprint? That's really something we need to learn more about, and we have really high expectations to project, and yeah, we are looking forward to learn more and share more in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Margrethe. I think that's such a great ambition to have for this project, to create stand-up products with a cleaner footprint. I think that's an ambition everybody has in this project, so it's good to hear it so exemplified. Thank you very much, and we're moving on to Line Stakserud Eriksen from Holzweiler.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. I guess you can just go to the slide. Yes. So I'm Line. I'm CSR manager at Holzweiler, which is a contemporary Norwegian fashion brand founded by the siblings Susanne and Andreas Holzweiler, and also Andreas' wife Maria joined in. We have our own stores in Norway and Denmark and China, as well as e-commerce, and we sell business to business internationally. And we're really excited to join in on this. So my heading here is how to create products for a brighter future. I guess I won't be able to really answer that yet, but that's what we really want to explore through this project. We've always had a passion for creating products and designs that will last long and to be worn over and over again. So we're excited to see how PEF can support in increasing the lifespan of our products, and also how we can use it for creating products for recycling and repairability. We will explore how we can improve our design process by using informed life cycle data. And we want to deep dive into all the details that we previously didn't explore. The normal process is that you reach out to the supplier, you ask for this material, and you really don't ask too many questions. And that's what we're so excited now to see, how we can kind of take more control over our products and see how we can adjust our internal processes to better fit with that. It's a lot of data to be collected. I think it requires a solid and good collaboration with partners. So for us, it's been important to choose suppliers that kind of shares our passion for sustainability and for progress. And since it's a lot of data, we have also decided to collect them in two different ways as a start. So we work with Trimco, so we will use their product DNA with some suppliers that are already onboarded and knows how to use it. And then we will also start with some suppliers in Excel just to see the difference and how this will work. We already collect a lot of data because we started with digital product passport. We launched the beginning of 2023. So we already asked for obviously the supplier information, the factory information, material suppliers, dyeing facility, printing facility, and we ask for what kind of certifications they have, what kind of dye class has been used in the product, printing process, and so on. So our suppliers are used to us asking a lot. Most of them are positive, but sometimes we see that it's kind of sometimes too much, to be honest. So I'm hopeful that this project will that they will be positive to deliver even more data. So we will also use the digital product passport to share more relevant product data. And we also want to see how we can build a stronger consumer trust and attract more eco-conscious business-to-business partners as a result of this. And we see that the business-to-business customers' requirements are increasing. So now I'm confident that we are kind of ahead of the questions they're going to start asking us. So I think it's really great for us to be able to start already now. And yeah, so to sum it up, we believe that increased product environmental score and creating safe and solid products with like a conscious decision making in mind with partners that shares our value, then we will create products that belongs to a brighter future. We have the product you can see here is our first pick, but there might be some changes. I just wanted to show that we kind of go into different categories with different materials and different countries and suppliers. So yeah, this might not be the final result, but we will look into that, and we're really excited to be in this journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lina. And at the very beginning of this journey is also Børre Myklebust from Sverre Monsen.
Yes.
Welcome, Sverre. No,
Thank
Børre.
Yeah, I'm not Sverre. He's dead many years ago. Yeah. So I represent. I'm a business developer in Sverre Monsen, but I have my background in the supply chain as a supply chain manager. We are kind of the odd one out in this collection of companies. We are a workwear and institutional textile supplier. And we've been so since 1868, working in the professional market, you can say, to users like ship liners, hospitals, hotels. So we have a range of products from bed linen and terry towels to uniforms. And in this scope, we have chosen the standardized uniforms for healthcare to start with, at least. So it's kind of like the market that we work in is like lease and laundry and the public tender market. So we don't have any private customers. We work only in the professional market. And the main purpose for us, and has been for decades, is to make textiles and uniforms that last for a long time, because that is a license to operate in our world. So when you lease textiles, then you want them to last as long as possible. So that has been our main focus. So if you can go to the next slide. So our wish when we went into this project was first to learn more about the methods and how to learn how to collect the data in an effective way. And also we have like a long-term goal and short-time goals. So since we are very tight with our partners where we produce, so we give our partners the specification of how to produce our fabric. So we specify how they should spin the yarn, how they should make the weave, and how they should finish the goods. So we have a very big impact. Most of our partners we have had for decades, so we are truly partners. And also when they invest in infrastructure, be it heat recovery, solar panels, and all these kind of sustainable new developments, they ask us much for advice as well, how to go forward. So the long-term goal is that we want to have actual data from the factories that we work with. And further on, we also have chip in all our garments, so that in the lifetime of the garment, we can also measure how many laundry cycles it goes through, and then get data from the laundries, so for their energy consumption, for instance, so that we can actually get a full life cycle analysis of the impact our garments have. And I hope that this project will then show us where we can put in the effort the most without compromising the longevity of the textile. So the long-lasting textile is our main objective when it comes to sustainability. And we don't want to compromise that, but how do we get there in the most effective way with the lowest possible footprint? That is the main goal for us. So it's going to be a very interesting journey with both frustration and joy, I guess, but we will see how it goes. Thank you.
Thank you, Sverre. I think it's really interesting to just hear all your ambitions for the project and how it will move along, and not least what kind of work you need to step up in order to fulfill the requirements, which seems to be quite a lot. So, I mean, you need to also prepare your organizations for what's coming. And what's coming up is Camilla again.
Thank you, Gisle, and thank you everyone who has presented and is participating in this project, this 2-year project. I think you can all understand why I'm so excited about this. We've been able to gather young companies and traditional companies that have been trading for over 100 years. We've been able to gather small, medium, and larger companies from sportswear, fashion wear, and workwear. I believe this project is going to be so helpful for the industry, where many different players will be able to recognize themselves in what we're doing. I love what the brands have picked: accessories and shoes, down jackets, cotton, organic, not organic, recycled. I'm so excited to see the result, that Valerie will guide us in that calculation and that weighing of what is better and worse. And that brings me to a political hot potato that we must be very aware of. The PEF and the weighing of these 16 indicators is a big political hot potato. There are strong forces for the polyesters, strong forces for the cotton, strong forces for the wool. This project is not making a political statement. This project is showing the industry how difficult it even is to get to a PEF at all, let alone discussing its weighing. And what we're really trying to do is finding a way to reach to the suppliers, reach into the supply chain, and finding the data even. And of course, with Valerie's strong hand, the algorithms, the weighing, the data. And so what happens now? These amazing brands have started their journey. They've kick-started internally. They've chosen. You may know or not know that they were given the opportunity to choose a lot more styles. But when you start digging into the amount of data you need to provide in this project, all the brands decided, let's scale it down to do really well on few product and product groups instead of exhausting ourselves on so many. So now we start gathering the data of the elements that Valerie is guiding us through. And when we come all the way to November in 2025, you get to meet us all again. This is when we all have less hair, gray hair, or less smiles. I don't know. We've gone through months of trying to even understand what the data we're trying to gather, trying to convince the supplier that it makes sense to share this with us, that it is not sharing of competitive advantage and information. So coming in November, the brands will be here again and say, we managed to get this data. We didn't manage to get this. We chose another style because this style was impossible or whatever. I don't even know. But we're there now. We're going this way. In February 2026, we shall see the first results. We've been able to gather the data. It's been passed to Valerie and her expert team that's done the calculus according to, at this time, what is the EU approved method. Let's keep in mind, we're not doing the French version, we're doing the European version. And then we'll see. We will see for these styles, where is the biggest environmental impact? Is it in the fibers? Is it in the manufacturing? Is it in the Sverre Monsen's endless use and use and use? Where is the biggest impact? And where should each brand now make an effort to reduce? Because our project is not finished in February 2026. No, we have another year to go, because this is a 2-year project where we will be truly showing you the journey from the start until impact, until true, I'm hoping we will be able to show positive impact. So you'll hear more from us. And I'm hoping you're as excited as I am. And with that, I'm passing it over to Gisle to moderate our Q&A session. And again, thank you for those who have joined. And let's see. Over to you, Gisle.
Thank you very much, Camilla. I'm going to bring our faces to the screen again. Can we see? Yeah. And let's see what's up in the chat. I have quite a few questions. All right, so we've got a question here from Amalia. She says, hi, and thank you for an exciting and insightful webinar. I was wondering, do you base the CO2 footprint calculations on average values, or what steps do you take to ensure the accuracy of the data for the individual product? Probably this is for you, Valerie.
Yes, I think so. Well, I would say it will depend on the granularity of information we have from the brand. As Bora mentioned, if we perfectly be able to use information for the plants, for example, if it's green energy or not, so we will use this type of information. And if we don't have information, we will use standards, considering the type of process, the number of kilowatt per hour used to during this process. Did I answer to the question?
I guess you answered to the questions. Let's see again. There's another one. So this is from Nicolina Svona. I am sorry if I don't pronounce your name correctly. She says she's a textile engineer by profession. She lives in Tønsberg and is currently studying at the European Institute of Innovation for Sustainability in Rome. And she had the opportunity to speak with Martina Martina Skuma, traceability activist, global strategist and partnership at YImpact. She explained to us that all the advantages of DPP for the environment and sustainability, and how increasing transparency in global supply chain is very important for the DPP. Consumers prefer brands that they can see are making progress on their sustainability goals, but the progress can only be measured with clear reporting on emissions and supply chain transparency. This is a very long question. I'm sorry about that, but I'm going to go all the way to the end. On the other hand, brands whose actions are truly shifting their business away from fossil fuels have the ability to stand out and prove the impact the actions have. Those companies who are really managing their supply chain towards full decarbonizations will have gathered significant and detailed data and are using it as a basis for focusing on the supply chain decarbonization efforts. So transparency is always foundational to any kind of campaign aimed at getting a brand to take responsibility for its supply chain, whether it's related to social or environmental issues. So that was not really a question, it's more of a statement. So I guess when it comes to this, I think I want to ask you, Line, because I know this is something that you've been focusing on for a very long time. How do you actually use all this work that you're doing towards like a sort of common goal for the brand? There's a lot of data to be gathered, there's a lot of information to be published in the DPP, but this is all about the positioning of the brand and future-proofing it for the future. What results do you expect to come from this?
Well, as a start, when we started gathering more data, especially on the different levels in our supply chain, we wanted to be open and honest with our consumers. That was actually what our biggest ambition at that time. And of course, we do it to better understand how the supply chain works, like where are every part located, and how can we make a smaller supply chain? How can we, for instance, when we work in Portugal, can we use one dyeing facility for the 3 suppliers? How can we merge? How can we do the processes easier? So I think it's been like trying to decrease the number of suppliers involved in our collections, and openness and transparency is our goal, I would say.
Great. Okay, moving on to next question from Sunniva Granli. She asks, will the PEF consider the disposal of the product? For example, microplastic shedding from polyester or chemical dyes that pollute the soil? I guess, again, Valerie, this is for you.
Just so to answer to the first part of the question, yes, the PEF consider the disposal of the product, but it does not consider microplastic shedding. Just to let you know, there is a lack of consensus in the scientific studies considering the microplastic pollution for the soil. The only scientific consensus that exists is considering the microplastics emissions during the washing machine process. So just to let you know, that's why France, for example, has improved the methodology, and that includes microplastics effects during the washing process. But considering the other step of the value chain, even during, for example, the enablement process, as we don't have any scientific consensus, it's quite difficult to put it in the methodology on the whole, on a global scale.
I understand. Thank you. And I think we have time for one last question, and it's from my colleague and CEO, Linda Refvik. Thank you for a very inspiring presentation. So thank you all for that. Many brands struggle not just with collecting data, but also with integrating it into their own systems and databases. How is the project addressing this internal challenge? And are there any tools or best practices being developed to support this part of the work? I think this might go to you, Camilla.
Yes, thank you for an excellent question and right to the point. In this project, we're seeing brands have a lot of data, but where do they have it? PLM, ERP, SharePoint, somebody's desktop, it's everywhere. So we are truly addressing the data challenge. And what we're also seeing, both Greenscore Capital and Trimco are seeing the benefit of integration and partnering with PLMs and with ERPs. Because where Trimco is the data gathering muscle, where Valerie in Greenscore Capital is doing the calculation, this data, no brand have any appetite for any more platforms, for any more IT systems, really. The data must go back to the PLM or PIM or ERP or whatever system they use daily, so that the designers and product developers can understand the impact of their choices to make the new, better choices. So indeed, that is part of this project. Once we've done the data gathering, once we have the calculation, the last part is that how to use it for impact. And that system use is typically PLM, PIMS, systems that designers and product developers are using. That's where the data need to flow. So yes, absolutely.
Great answer. Thank you, Camilla. And I think we have time for one last question from Vanessa Gudus. Thanks for the presentation. If I am not misunderstanding the French version, it is stricter than the PEF. As far as I understand, the main goal of PEF, ESPR, DPP, and many other regulations is to compare data. So how does it work if countries are starting to have their own standards? Valerie.
So the European Commission has gave the authorization of France to experiment his own method, especially to see, I think, how brands will be engaged in this journey and how it will, maybe it's a sort of, I would say, as a methodology, try to correct some things that doesn't really work very well in the PF methodology. It's interesting to see if an experimentation at a large scale will give some insights also to improve the PEF methodology. Just to let you know, France and Europe work together. So even France is a pioneer. They really want to be consistent with the European methodology at the end. But what we did in this experimentation is really to raise the awareness of Europe that the PEF can be improved. Also, the databases can be improved in terms of raw materials, for example, in terms of process. So I think at the end, we should have only one methodology. So the French experimentation is just to give some examples of inconsistency between the different methodologies and try to improve the global methodology. So that's the purpose of France. I know for brands it's very uncomfortable because you have to provide two types of calculations, especially in France. But just to let you know, for example, in the databases of Europe, organic cotton has a worse impact than conventional cotton, which was for us a shame because it makes no sense. So, for example, France has corrected all this type of information, saying, okay, just to let you know, this is inconsistent, so we have to change it. So this is the purpose of the French experimentation. Also, we want to include microplastics. We want to include also the impact of fast fashion. and it's really important to raise awareness and to try to improve the methodology at a global scale. So that's the purpose of the experimentation.
Thank you, Valerie, and thank you, everybody. We've come to the end of this webinar. Stay tuned for more information as this project develops, and also stay tuned for more webinars to come throughout June. And by that, I say thank you very much to all the people who's been presenting today and to all of you attending. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.